This is absolute scrape and go now, mind you. I'm telling you right now, to find this suburb for under 800k is very hard, but I'm still just doing it. And that suburb is Canmore. So this is just Canmore Village, as you can see in the photo here. So it does have a very little village kind of style. You can see it's an old school kind of like little, should I say, park and village in Canmore. So Canmore, the suburb itself, was really built in the 80s and 90s. So it's around, like, some parts are even before that, but it's around 30 to 40 years plus old. So it is an established estate, to give you an idea. So in some parts of the Central Coast, particularly in the lower price points, a lot of it is not established estates. A lot of it's newer estates. So that becomes a problem, because if it's a newer estate, you don't have the same demographics and equity value in there. Whereas Canmore, you've got quite a few people that actually own their homes completely outright, and a lot that bought 10 plus years ago. So the LVRs of those people is like 50 or below, to give you an idea, right? So, I mean, these people that I'm talking about here alone, I mean, you're not going to have too many problems buying here, because even if rates to go to 10%, it's not going to be badly affected like some surrounding suburbs. So that's kind of really Canmore itself. So where it is really is it's close to all the future employment hubs. So you'll see just here, Canmore's kind of near that blue dot just south of the word terrace in Hamlin Terrace. That's kind of where Canmore is, kind of just to the right of that. So it does actually front Tuggerah Lake, to give you an idea. So that does help with pushing prices up. But not only that too, but I mean, it's close to all these employment hubs. So you can see Lake Haven, Bushells Ridge, Wyong and Tuggerah particularly. It's like 10, 15 minutes away from roughly from both of them. And that's really good, because those are main stations and are part of the transport orientated plan. They're also part of the future employment plan. So employment and transport are big things here. It's about 15 minutes from Nora Head and about half an hour to the entrance. So those are your lifestyle areas. So it's very good for that as well. And it's a held suburb. So Canmore's one of those suburbs, as I said to people in the past, where you're going to have a very, very, very good demographic of people that move in. There's already a very good, very reasonable demographic that live there now. And to pick it up for under 800k, that's dirt cheap. You're not going to find that for very much longer. I had a client that picked one up for 750k a few months ago. Those just don't exist anymore. I hate to say it, they just don't exist. So by the time I do my next episode of the Central Coast, don't expect Canmore to be under 800k. It is very close to breaking it right now for the right dwelling. So that's kind of just where we're at the moment, under 800k for Canmore. Let's get into under 900k. So the suburb I want to mention is a suburb called Killarney Vale. And it looks like this, courtesy of a photo I did for educational purposes. Killarney Vale is on the southern bank of Tuggerah Lake. It is quite a well-established suburb, mind you. It's been there for, I think the first estate started selling in like the 50s and 60s, to give you an idea. So that's kind of where Killarney Vale is. Some of it was still built in the 60s as well. So you can see Batto Bay Square just to the left of it, Tuggerah Lake Secondary just there, Brook Avenue Primary there as well. It's close to all of that. You can walk along the should I say, lakefront there as well, so it's very good for that too. And I mean, it's literally like a 5-minute drive to Shelley Beach, to give you an idea. So that's really where it is. Very good suburb. Does have a stigma about it, but a lot of the public housing has been sold off. There's only about 6 to 7% left in Killarney Vale now, so barely any. I mean, to be under 900 still is incredible. You're probably not going to find that for very much longer. It's a very, very, very good suburb to buy in for under 900k. Very well located, because it's also only about a 15-minute drive to Tuggerah, which is another major employment hub. It's only about 15, 20 minutes from Wamberal and Terrigal, which is kind of your heart of the Central Coast as well. So that's where Killarney Vale is. And just look at how long ago this is. So it's just long-term location capital growth. I've already explained the location. So you can see this is the original estate that was for sale there. Full prices from £45. And this is in the 60s, mind you. I tried to find out exactly the date, but it's sometime in the 1960s, to give you an idea, right? And I mean, if you were to extrapolate, even let's say if you take, so it says from £45, so let's even call it £55. It's probably not that. It's probably around 50. That's $100 if you doubled the pound to the Australian dollar at the time. Now, to have 900, even if you took it from like 1960, the earliest extremity, that's more than 10% growth. to give you an idea. So if you want to do true statistics, look at the just land estate sales. They're very hard to find, but I can find them sometimes for a lot of, not sometimes, I can actually find them practically 99% of the time for all of these suburbs, because I know people who can send me these sorts of things. But that's really what it is. I mean, it's done very good long-term growth. I mean, there's nothing more to buy. It's a completely built suburb right next to suburbs that are much more expensive than it as well. So that's really Killarney Vale, a very, very, very good suburb to buy in. Definitely one I'd look out for in the Central Coast. Let's get into under $1 million, and we're getting to probably a more middle sort of range of the Central Coast. And my pick is East Gosford. So this is just the overview of East Gosford. You can see the Gosford sort of CBD there, just near where the stadium is and all the big buildings there. The point there is Point Frederick, the kind of Point Piper, the Central Coast. Just to the left of that, we can see kind of the bay there and the should I say red roofed houses. Just to the left there is East Gosford. So that does occupy one of the best pockets of the Central Coast. East Gosford is near everything. It's about 15 minutes from Terrigal, literally less than 5 to Gosford CBD, right on the water as well. So that's kind of where it is. Just look at its location from the overhead. You can see East Gosford here. I mean, Erina Fair is kind of a major trading centre of the Central Coast as well. So that's, I mean, literally 5 minutes up the road as well. So it's very well located, completely built. You can't build any more land there either, because I know you do see bushland, but that's pretty much on a mountaintop. So it's way too steep to build anything on. So it's completely set supply. Good demographics there as well. It neighbours the most expensive suburb of all of the Central Coast. And that suburb, obviously, as I mentioned, is Point Frederick. So it's the point just sticking out straight south of Gosford there. That's Point Frederick. There are houses in Point Frederick, to give you an idea, that sell for $10 million plus. It's crazy to say that, because some people from outside New South Wales, they don't understand it, because that's like that's an absolute trophy. It is a trophy home in the Central Coast too, don't get me wrong, but it's an absolute trophy home in even their major capitals in other major cities. But that's outside Sydney CBD, and that's still what happens. So East Gosford neighbours that, and in my opinion, it's probably still, it's about 1.1, but it's probably the best homes you can still get for under $1 million. I see them all the time still. So that's my pick in the Central Coast for under $1 million at the moment. Let's get into under $1.25 million. And it's a budget that's kind of getting towards the more top end of the Central Coast. Funny to say that, because Sydney's just so much more expensive than it. But the suburb I'm going to mention is Bateau Bay. And yes, I have mentioned this in the past, and I'll mention it again. Bateau Bay is, to be honest, close to the 1.1 to $1.15 million mark, so you've got plenty of breathing room in this. Really, Bateau Bay, it's very well located. It's right next to the beach, as you can see here, called Shelley Beach. That's in the distance. Bateau Bay does have quite a stigma about it, though, and it's because of public housing, and we'll get into that in a second. But really, where Bateau Bay is it's right near, should I say, very much so more expensive suburbs. So you'll see, just in mapping the market here overhead, you see Foresters Beach, that's about 1.5 million now. Shelley's about 1.7. Bateau Bay is right between both of those two suburbs. So it's wedged between very expensive suburbs, to give you an idea, right? Now, not only that too, but I should say in Bateau Bay, but the reason it does have a stigma about it is because the western part of Bateau Bay, that is to the western side of the Central Coast Highway there, does have a lot of public housing. It's up the Bateau Bay Hill. So that's where all the public housing basically is, in Bateau Bay. So don't buy west of that highway. It's not the right area to buy. But the eastern part, I'd argue, is exactly the same as Foresters Beach and Shelley Beach, just literally like $500,000 cheaper, which is still a very good area to live. There's nothing wrong in that area. And I mean, longer term, this is going to be much more expensive. It is actually an oceanfront seaside suburb, and prices of around $1.1 to $1.15 million aren't going to last long. That's going to continue to go up significantly in value, and especially with this 5% deposit scheme, to live literally walking distance from the beach is a rarity in the Sydney Basin region. So Bateau Bay is my pick for the suburbs under 1.25 million. As I said to you, it's actually a lot closer to the $1.1 to $1.15 million mark. Let's get into under $1.5 million. And this is genuinely the top end of, should I say, the Central Coast. And my pick is north of Oka. So for people that don't know north of Oka, it really is a suburb that is the very top end of the Central Coast. It looks like this. So there is beachfront houses here, beachfront apartments, very, very, very expensive houses, some that sell for over $8 million here. Very good surf location, as you can see as well. Pretty affluent suburb too, and it's a very small suburb which occupies a small pocket just south of Terrigal. And the reason it's under 1.5 million because you got idiot agents. It's probably closer to 1.7 to be honest with you. But there's some idiots who actually, price it incorrectly. What they do is they just look at the medians online and they go off that. So there's even properties in the right pocket of North of Oka going for around 1.5 million. You scrape it. But because it's such a small suburb, when the market picks up, it's one where you can get and it's not true growth, but on the data, it will show stuff like going from 1.5 to 2.5 million in the space of a year or two. The things like that can happen. It's because the people with the better homes and wealthier homes, they will all sell when the market's up. That's when they sell. And when the market goes down, they don't sell at all, and it's only the cheaper properties that sell in the suburbs. So it does sway a lot in the data, but it's not a true measure. But really, that's the fault of idiot agents. And what it kind of looks like is like this. It's a village-like community by the sea. A lot of people know each other here, meet by the local surf club to have coffees in the morning and stuff like that. It's beautiful as well. To find something here with this quality of life as well, that close to Terrigal too, is incredible. Great lifestyle, great demographics. Definitely one of the future where you're going to see it go up. It'll be similar to Northern Beaches prices in 10 years. That's what it's going to be. The median will be very similar to Northern Beaches prices. It is very similar to that. So that's my pick for under 1.5 million, and it's not going to be like that for long. It won't exist probably after my next episode of the Central Coast. So that's the pick in the Central Coast for under 1.5 north of Oka. Now, look, for any budget, really, it's probably going to be this way for quite a while. It might change in time, but really for any budget at the moment, I'd say my pick would be Terrigal. I could say for under 1.5 million as well, because you can still pick it up for around 1.5 million or so in the right pocket of Terrigal. But the reason I've got this at any budget is because I do think it is pretty much one of the best suburbs to buy in all of the Central Coast. And at the moment, I think it is the best buy on the Central Coast because really Terrigal, this is the front of it. It is one of the centres of the Central Coast. You can see the beautiful boardwalk just there. But really, it is the heart of the Central Coast. So you'll see just an article off Domain here, why many Sydney-siders are moving to Terrigal on the Central Coast. Once seen as a sleepy village for holiday goers, the Terrigal and Avoca Beach area are fast becoming an alternate away from the city confines. Now, this is pretty common amongst a lot of wealthy Sydney-siders to move up here. There's some quite wealthy people that live in Terrigal now, particularly close to the CBD and where you can see the water from. But that's only going to continue because, this suburb is very cheap. If you think about, for example, even outer parts of Sydney when it was developing. You could give an example somewhere like DY. You could have given another example somewhere even like Cronulla. Now, this is obviously further out and it's not a part of Sydney Metro, but as Sydney expands and the metropolis of Sydney between pretty much Newcastle and Shellharbour expand, Terrigal is going to be one of the main centres. So it's going to be like probably Cronulla 30 years ago or 20 years ago or something like that. And it's going to get a lot more expensive. I'll tell you that right now. So, look, that's my summary of the best suburb, in my opinion, to buy in the Central Coast, and it is Terrigal if you have around $1.5 million or so.